Say hello to the Mastering 2026 scholars. 10 new Masters Academy students, each on their own path to mastery. Over the next year, they'll challenge themselves to grow, improve, and push their work further than ever before. Along the way, they'll share their progress, their struggles, and their victories. And we'll be here to cheer them on. This is Mastering 2026.
Hello, my name is Lucinda.
My name is Tatiana.
My name is Aliciane.
My name is Tayfun.
My name is Prakash.
My name is Philipp.
My name is Sarai Grace.
My name is Jair.
My name is Kaneki.
My name is Wiggly.
And I'm a Mastering 2026
Mastering 2026.
Mastering 2026 scholar
with New Masters Academy.
My goal for this year is to improve accuracy of my drawings.
My goal for this year is to finish the Drawing Foundations module.
Finishing Drawing Foundations module.
Drawing Foundations module.
To complete portrait and figure drawing module, start painting and create some personal pieces.
My main goal for this year is to complete all the figure drawing courses within the figure drawing module.
I also want to do one personal project a week, and I have a 100-day project that I'm working on.
My goal is to self-publish a short story comic online,
while also working to develop characters and concept for a children's book in parallel.
A consistent, manageable art practice.
My initial goal for this year was to tackle the Drawing Fundamental module up to constructive figure drawing with Steve Houston.
My goal for this year is to finish the Painting Foundations module and also to build a professional fine art portfolio.
So one of my goals for this year was to complete the portrait drawing module, and in my last video I mentioned that I will be completing it by my next update. So yes, I have completed it, and the last course for this module was the drawing the portrait in the Russian style, which was the continuation of the anatomy of the head and neck course, which I completed in the last quarter. What we learned in the anatomy of the head and neck course made the portrait not easy but manageable. Instead of copying the subject, I knew what was going on the surface and was able to draw through and estimate those bony landmarks and the inner muscles of the face that influences the contour. I did 2 portraits in total. First one was the head with shoulder girdle, and the second one was the portrait with hands. Both of them were not easy, but the difficulty of the second one was definitely on the high side. What made the portrait with hands difficult for me was managing the proportion throughout the drawing and making sure that all the different parts like head, ribcage, arms and hands work together. In my final assignment, I definitely made some proportion mistakes and could have done a few things better, but I really like how the final result turned out. Another goal for this year is to complete the figure drawing module 2. I have completed 2 courses in this module and currently taking the third one. I completed one course recently, which was the how to draw the costumed figure. It's a 20-week course, but I managed to complete it in 2 months. There's a lot of repetition built into this course, which makes some concept become your second nature, like the idea of asymmetry to create the flow into your drawing, or some design principles like using a straight against a curve or a simple silhouette against a complex one. By the end of this course, I ended up with tons of sketches, some of which I really like. The course I'm currently taking in the figure drawing module is the Complete Human Anatomy for the Artist, taught by Ray Bustos. He's really amazing teacher and he explains the concepts really well. And I really like his idea of learning the human anatomy using the drawings of master artists instead of looking at the real human body. I like that because I think the human body is very complex, and the first tendency after learning the anatomy is to nitpicking each and every small detail that we see on the surface. But by studying the drawings of the master artist instead, we really learned how to design and leave things out instead of keep adding more. I'm also using the 3D viewer available on the New Masters Academy website to look at the 3D scans of the cadaver to understand how the muscles actually look on the human body and what their shapes are really like. They are really helping me a lot with my assignments. Moving on to the personal work, I have completed some of them. First being this male figure, which you can also see in the background. My intention with this piece was to apply the lesson learned on exaggeration in drawing lessons from the art history course and combine it with the Steve user style to make the final result look more dynamic After this, I wanted to do some female figures because I felt really inspired by some of Steve Use's drawings. So my plan was to do master studies of some of his drawings and then apply the lesson in my own pieces. Aside from these, I had 2 more ideas for my personal pieces which I have not executed them yet but will start soon.
Hello, my name is Lucinda. I am working on the Drawing Foundations module that I would like to finish this year. And I am now just at the beginning of Constructive Figure Drawing 1, which means that I'm about 30% done with the Drawing Foundations module. I'm still going strong with one project a week, one personal project a week, and I have completed a 100-day project with pen and ink. And now I'm shifting my focus from pen and ink to watercolor, and I'm using the course Sketchbooking from Life as kind of a side quest to help me get better with my watercolor technique. Doing the coursework has been going really well. It's going smoothly, but right now I've hit a little bit of a bump in the road with constructive figure drawing because I'm just not very good at it. It is taking considerably more time now to complete an assignment because it's just so hard for me, figure drawing. My long-term goal is to get into animation and also just do the animation track for that. And it's hard to imagine that figure drawing as a fundamental is part of that long-term goal, but it is, and I just have to trust the process. And also, masters in this field, people that are really renowned and fantastic at animation, are also really skilled and accomplished figure drawing artists. So I just need to bite the bullet and keep going with the constructive figure drawing class and the subsequent classes on figure drawing. And because that is just taking a little bit longer than I had expected, I needed to abandon a project that I had been working on from the beginning of this year, and that is a daily art journal. It was a little bit hard to make that decision to stop that daily art journal, but as I am working on my art every day in the first place with the courses, I figured that it was more important to dedicate more time to my coursework in order to get more skilled at figure drawing. Since it's pretty much halfway through the year and I've only accomplished 30% of the Drawing Foundations module, I have to be really honest and realistic that I'm probably not going to be able to finish that complete module by the end of this year. So here's where it becomes important to stay flexible, because I'd rather go through the courses in a deliberate, intentional manner, so to really learn from them, rather than to rush through it just to get that arbitrary end goal by the end of the year. I'm doing these courses to get skilled and to get better in my art, and the only way to do so is to really pay attention. So it's going to be a little bit longer to complete that goal.
Hello! The last weeks or 1.5 to 2 months, I've been working my way through 2 courses, which are Stress-Free Sketching and Constructive Figure Drawing 1. Sheldon, he's such a great instructor and teacher. I haven't laughed so much during a course here at New Masters Academy. I really loved the approach to sketching with having this framework, so you can keep your process kind of like tight all throughout. One thing that I really picked out from the course, a technique, was to start blocking in your sketch with like a lighter color, like blue for instance, and then when you applied your gesture or you get on like your first initial lay-in, you can go on top with a darker color. So that's super nice. I haven't experimented with it too much, to be honest, but I really liked that there was something that was super tangible that I could bring into my daily practice. And then Constructive Figure Drawing 1. I mean, seriously, what a course. I love it. It's by far my favorite course so far. I must say, the workload of this course was way higher than I first expected, but I have grown accustomed to it. I love how Steve can take something that is like complex and just like break it down into this manageable process of like composing the body with like different forms. There's so many things during this course which has like started to click in my head. So I feel that I've taken multiple steps forward with drawing figures from imagination, and I'm really happy that I'm seeing that progress. Currently on my last week of it, I'm really looking forward to getting to know like the kind of rendering techniques and how to make it look a little bit more realistic. Besides that, last month I finished my first personal piece in a while, which I called Sky Takeaway. The idea of it was born while I was standing in line to order food at this small Thai takeaway place in Södermalm in Stockholm. I was standing in line and I started daydreaming, and I was thinking like, what if this place would like hover in the sky in this like futuristic setting, and you could like swoop in on your dragon and pick up your food and just like move away on adventure while having like delicious Thai takeaway food. Bling! And it was my turn to order, and I had to move out of this daydreaming. So I remember that after I've ordered, I tried to pick up my sketchbook and just like jot down just like this loose sketch. The process was quite long. I think I did like 40 thumbnails for it. I'm also quite proud of the piece because it's a piece where I can see that I've started to apply the stuff that I've learned here while studying at New Masters Academy, especially when it comes to like composing with values. Values is something that I really struggle with. I could see in that piece that I wasn't able to do that like 6 months ago. So that was super nice. The most fun part was that it actually got sold. I think it was 3 days after I posted it. So that was super fun. It now has a home in the US, and I'm seriously, I'm super grateful for that. Thank you so much for purchasing it. You know who you are.
Hello, my name is Aliciane. The first course I worked through this quarter was stress-free sketching. You can see some of my work here, which is colored pencil on toned paper. It's a very varied course where you will do some figures, some still lifes. You will also learn to use a chamois. This is my final piece, which was done with charcoal and white charcoal on toned paper using said chamois. It was very fun. I really much enjoyed using the chamois. Sheldon is a very fun instructor, and this is an interesting course to prepare you for the next part of the module. The first part of the module is very focused on accuracy, measuring, transferring angles, and overall being able to reproduce a reference. What I would say that the part of the module I'm currently working through is more interested in teaching you to interpret your reference, to edit, to think a bit about composition, about gesture. It basically assumes that you know how to be accurate, you know how to copy a reference, but it wants to teach you how to go beyond that. So now the course I am currently working on is Constructive Figure Drawing by instructor Steve Houston. It's a 100% a figure course, but it's very useful, especially if you intend to one day draw figure from imagination, because it teaches you a lot of amazing tricks to really understand your reference, understand what you are drawing, and how to simplify the body into basic forms. I've also been taking elective courses. The first elective course I've taken is called Learning the Craft, and it was a special class for my cohort given by Juliette. It's a class that is meant to basically teach you how to learn at New Masters Academy. And even though I thought I was already doing great, honestly, it gave me a lot of very interesting tips and methods to be even more efficient and to retain more information for the course. In particular, it got me started in taking handwritten notes on all the lessons I am following and also on my personal projects. Honestly, I really recommend people to take this course if there is another run at it later this year or next year. It was a very good experience. The second elective class I have been working through is called Sketchbooking from Life. It's a watercolor class by Catherine Bobkowski. I have been working on this class for 4 months now, and I have been producing a lot of paintings. I wanted to learn watercolor for my children's book project because I would like this book to be illustrated with watercolor. It taught me a lot. You can see some of the work I produced for week 2, which was about monochromatic still life painting and simple forms. And you can see the landscape I did yesterday for the landscape part of the course. So I really recommend this course if you want to learn watercolor. Catherine is a very supportive and uplifting teacher, and she goes through all the basic, very various subjects. You work in full colors, you will do landscape, portrait, still lifes, flowers. It's a very, very rich and rewarding course. At some point, I was taking 3 courses in parallel. I had my main course, I had sketchbooking from life, and learning the craft that just began, and since it was a live class, I had to take it when it was running. And honestly, doing 3 courses in parallel was way too much for my plate. So I will stick to 2 courses. And this is also why I've been working so long on sketchbooking from life. It's not possible for me to work on 2 courses at full speed. So I try to do the main track at the standard speed of 1 week per week, but then I do sketchbooking from life more at the speed of 1 week per month, so I get some time for my personal projects. And now I would like to show you all the steps that I went through to create this personal illustration, which is my first watercolor illustration. So it started in a sketchbook. It started in a sketchbook with very simple scribbles, inspired by the process taught in stress-free sketching. So I ended up choosing this scribble here and making it a little bit more detailed. After that, I went to create a more detailed version of it, and then I ring it with markers. So my conclusion is that markers are not great for my summing process. I will probably not use it again, but I'm showing it anyway. After that, I wanted to work on the colors, so I made some little experiments to see the colors I could achieve with a limited palette and if it would suit my needs. So you can see that these colors are pretty close to what I ended up doing in the final. After that, I need a color thumbnail on my cellulose watercolor paper, which is pretty much the paper I use for all my draft work, not my finished work, but my explorations. And after that, I had to work on the line work. Though I did a first sketch on copy paper with graphite, but I did not like that sketch that much, so I submitted it to Group Critic. I had a critic from Katrin Wobkowski who gave me several pointers, so I started by digitally altering it, and then I printed my digital alterations, and then I traced this digital alteration to get my final line work. And then I had to transfer this line work to the final watercolor paper, so I simply use tracing paper, and you can see the little sheet of tracing paper that I use to do the transfer, and after that I just had to paint it.
Hey y'all! It is the end of the second quarter. Very little time to spend on art this quarter just because of everything that kind of came my way. And even when I did have the time, it was a struggle to mentally shift my brain into art mode, which I'm sure so many of you understand. Coursework. Oh my goodness, I completed Constructive Figure Drawing 1. That makes me so happy. And I loved the course. It was challenging, but it wasn't frustrating. And the things I learned, I already see myself applying to my regular sketching because of the way Steve breaks things down and simplifies it. It makes sense for not just figures, but for everything. And I think my favorite part of Constructive Figure Drawing 1 was the last 2 lessons, 6 and 7. It was where I struggled the most, but I also had the most fun, and it was where Steve talked about simplifying shadow shapes. The application was 100% in line with what I want to do art-wise in the future, which is fantasy art. The next course I plan on doing well, actually I've already started, was constructive head drawing. I did the first 3 lessons in 2024 and kind of struggled, especially with the eyes part of it, because I really didn't understand portraiture and stuff like that. I was still fairly new to the game at that point. So I'm hoping to have that done in the next 4 or 5 weeks. So we'll see. I don't think it'll take very long, and find myself pretty much on track with where I want to be course-wise for 2026 goals and where I initially planned at the beginning of the year. As far as personal stuff goes, I have kept up my daily arting habit. So I've been doing art as a way to wake up in the morning when I've had the opportunity, especially with my oldest in boot camp right now. He can only communicate through letters, and so I've been able to do fun drawings in his letters, and they don't have to be amazing or special or anything like that. It's literally for fun. I don't know if I would have done as much art, if I'm being honest with myself, if I hadn't promised to draw him some pictures in his letters. As far as my other personal work, I decided to throw recipes out the window. I love illustrating and doing calligraphy for recipes. What I don't love is having to cook the food, make sure it looks nice, plate the food so it looks pretty, photograph the food, and then illustrate. And I realized that I would rather make something. If it looks great, I'll photograph it, and then for fun I will illustrate it and create the recipe on the side. But I don't want to do that with a goal in mind or any pressure or intensity. It is purely for pleasure. And I've decided to focus more on my herbal pages, which I love doing with a passion. I love that there is structure. I love that there's a format that I follow. I love the flow that I go into when I start writing and creating them. I love the botanical aspect of it and drawing different botanicals. My final personal piece or thing I wasn't able to do this quarter, I knew I wasn't able to, and that was the big fantasy hero pieces. But I'm really looking forward to jumping into next quarter and working on that. While I've done art, it hasn't been as much as I was hoping for, but I have achieved enough to make myself happy for this quarter.
The second quarter for me was to continue to work on my goal, which is improving the accuracy of my drawings and paintings. And the biggest breakthrough for me this quarter was that I realized that there are so many different aspects of the accuracy that go beyond just getting the accurate lines or accurate color value, which is what I was originally thinking. So now I break the accuracy into 2 big categories. One is the technical accuracy, which is the how accurate is my color value edge or construction. And the second category is what I call emotional accuracy. This is about how accurate is the expression, how accurate is the gesture, how accurately I'm depicting the story that I want to say. So I've been working on both aspects of that accuracy, kind of feeling a little bit like those two were pulling me in the opposite directions. Like it's like a dichotomy that I've have experienced with the gesture and structure while working on the figure. And then I thought, well, it's gonna be what's gonna happen to me will be the same as what happened to me with the figure drawing, where I was pulled into the gestural part of the figure drawing, and then I was pulled into the opposite direction, which was the constructive part of the figure drawing. But then at some point in my education, those two started to converge. And then it brought me into realizing that I think I could deliver way more than what I was able to deliver in my figure drawings. Because if I were just chasing the accuracy in the line, in the outline, but completely missing the point of the gesture in the story, my drawing wouldn't be accurate. Okay, so I thought that this dichotomy of the technical aspect of the accuracy and the emotional aspect of the accuracy would converge for me at some point in the future. And I'm hoping I will arrive to that point in the next quarter. So this quarter I was working on both aspects, as I mentioned. And the technical aspects of the accuracy is really better practiced with some of the academic drawings, so to speak, like the bark plates, for example. And I had a few to show for. This is where I can really work on my technical skills. It is about getting the correct outline, getting the correct proportions, getting the correct values, colors, and edges. So the color studies, for example, fall into the same category. And the emotional accuracy comes through different kind of studies to me. I find a lot of that I start to see in the master studies that I approach. For example, in the Sargent master study, I was after the expression. So it had to be a correct expression. In this portrait work, which is still in progress, I was after her expression. In this master study, I was after her expression. So until I get the expression correct, until I get the gesture correct, I don't consider my work finished. So it doesn't necessarily only applies to the people, it also applies to animals. So I was working on this guy until I nailed the expression that I wanted to express. This look of the chicken who's not really, who kind of knows what you're thinking and not happy with your thoughts. Here's another example of the expression. When I started this year, started to work on this goal, I had no idea how I would achieve that, other than, okay, keep going through the courses and just learn more to become more accurate. So now I have a little bit of a better clue of how I want to approach that.
So, as a short reminder, my goal this year is to complete all the figure courses that are part of the Drawing Foundations module over here at New Masters Academy. And for this quarter, I'm actually quite happy with my progress because I was able to complete stress-free sketching, constructive figure drawing 1, which was the main focus of this quarter really. And I even managed to start Introduction to the Figure and Drawing Foundations 4. The biggest focus of the first quarter was to complete constructive figure drawing 1. And to be perfectly honest, I began the course having a lot of self-doubts. I think this is mainly because the course's focus is on simplifying the figure while also making sure it remains characteristic, that each body part is characteristic. When you see the instructor Steve Houston simplifying each unit, each body part of the figure, it looks very simple. Now, it turns out it's not that simple when you try it yourself. That has been a challenge for me at the beginning, to be very honest, because I felt like I should be doing better. I should be doing better than this. Now, what I tried to do to get away from all this self-doubt and this negative spiral really was I went to the community. I tried leveraging New Masters Academy's Discord community and of course also the feedback system. So while going through the course, over time I started developing a pretty solid and good routine that helped me making sense of the very large amount of knowledge that is presented to you by Steve Houston. what I usually did was I started drawing along with the instructor, right? So I would try to just follow along when Steve Houston was demonstrating any element really of the figure. I would take notes at the same time, trying to note down observations, things said by the instructor, and match that to what I was doing on the page. And then as a second step, I would usually redraw the entire lecture again on my own, trying to make sure I understand what I should be focusing on here. And then in the third stage, this previous stage would prepare me for the assignment, right? And then I would try to get started with the assignment. And to be very honest, I usually try to do the assignments multiple times unless I have the feeling that I really internalized it already. So I do a little bit more than what it says on the assignment PDF. And then, of course, I watch the feedback video and I try to apply, usually in the last stage, some of the lessons learned from the assignment, from the feedback, and try to just help my brain and myself to internalize the knowledge that's in each week. So one of the things that also happened during this quarter was I really started noticing that I struggled with starting my own personal work or projects. And I think that's the case because, all things considered, I'm still relatively new to art. For me, New Masters Academy was really my starting point into art itself. I had no prior sketching, drawing, or painting practice. I never took another art class before. I noticed that this is something that's becoming a lot more important to me. So what I'm doing to answer this question of where do I want to go with my art is I'm trying to refocus on the art that speaks to me, which is a lot of also landscaping art, tonal drawing, and I'm trying to also reallocate a little bit of my drawing and art time to this process to figure out where I want to go. A part of that is that I will add actually Drawing Foundations 4 to the mix. I already started it during the end of this quarter, but I want to take this further, and I will very likely add additional courses to the mix here just to get a little bit of perspective of art and drawing outside from just the figure courses.
In the last video update from the end of March, I had just started Constructive Figure Drawing 1 by Steve Houston and Dynamic Gesture Drawing by Glenn Wilpoo. And I'm happy to say that within the last 2.5 months, I have managed to finish both of these courses. It was quite challenging, but I learned a lot of new things while taking these courses. I actually thought taking these two courses will be relatively easier, having gone through these prior, but it turned out to be a lot more challenging than I was expecting. I realized mistakes I didn't notice before and appreciated how much depth there is to each of these courses. Especially the final weeks of the courses where all of the concepts you were taught comes together and needs to be utilized for a final assignment, you really see the progress and how far you have improved. Around the start of June, I also started Introduction to Landscape Drawing and Constructive Head Drawing 1 by Steve Houston. Initially, I was hoping to have already finished these two courses by now, but amidst a busy last few months in my life and trying to add more personal studies in the mix, I couldn't make as much progress as I initially wanted to. I also tried to give each assignment more time, especially the final week assignments usually takes a bit more time than I always imagine it will take. But overall, I am really happy with my progress thus far. Considering we are only halfway into the year, and I'll be working hard to cover more ground to achieve my goals for this year.
Hi everyone, my name is Wiggly. My initial goal for this year was to tackle the Drawing Fundamental module all the way from the beginning, from the Drawing Fundamental 1 course up to Constructive Figure Drawing with Steve Houston. My goals changed around 2 months ago when I decided to join the coaching program over at New Masters Academy. I got matched with Ilya Mirochnik as my mentor and my coach. At the first session, we went through what kind of art I like, what kind of art I would like to do, what mediums I am enjoying currently, and discussed what kind of artist I would like to be. Based on that, we both decided that it would be a good thing for me to change up my plans just a little bit. While I can be tackling my initial goal in the background, we decided that it would be good for me to do the whole complete Russian academic course. Currently, I am on week 8 of the course, and I just completed cast drawing, which is here, of David's left eye. I also am very proud on the 6th week assignment, which is the Asaro head here, which is done in digital drawing. The comfortable medium for me is digital, but I decided when I went through the Russian academic course that it would be a good idea for me to tackle it traditionally. I'm not that good with graphite yet, but I'm getting there. I also completed the Drawing Fundamental 1 course and am working my way through the Fundamentals of Observational Drawing and Perspective course, and I'm currently on week 4 of that. The course is great, I am enjoying it, but I am finding it also a bit challenging for me. I am an artist or a student that likes to rush to the end of the drawing. I want to get into the details a bit too fast, and I need to learn how to slow down. And I think that the mentorship that I'm getting from Ilya is enabling me to just do that. Also, the course with Renee is helping me with that, because she is making us work from the big shapes into the small ones. I find this interesting and challenging at the same time.
Hello, my name is Jair. I'm currently in the final week of Introduction to Painting with Steve Houston, which is the first course in the module. It's a fairly long 12-week course that covers most of the fundamentals of painting, like how to use a brush, how to make edges, how to mix colors, paints, and basic color theory. So I've really been taking my time with this course, and it's been a great experience. It's a new medium for me, so I have a lot to learn and a lot to practice. Oil painting really forces us to slow down, so my pace has been a little bit slower than I originally expected it to be. I still have a lot to learn, but this course has already changed the way I think about painting. Steve has a great way of explaining these complex ideas, and I feel like I've gained a much more stronger foundation because of it. These basic skills are really the most important ones, so I already consider this course to be the most important one in the Painting Foundations module, and I see how I am developing a set of skills that I'm gonna apply later down in the module, in the more advanced courses. As for my personal work, I've decided that my goal for this year is to build a professional fine art portfolio of at least 6 finished works, both drawings and paintings. But I feel like I need a bit more experience with painting before I can execute those ideas the way I would like to. I think I will be in a much better spot once I finish the second checkpoint of the Painting Foundations module. In the meantime, I've been using this period to reevaluate the kind of art I'm inspired by. This quarter has been a bit more challenging for me compared to the last one. Over the past couple of months, I've gone through a period of burnout, and that really disrupted my art routine for a while, which is the main reason I've fallen behind with Introduction to Painting. I'm feeling much better now, but I will probably take some more time before I'm fully back to my previous routine. For now, I think the most important thing I can do is to keep showing up and doing coursework, and doing the assignments and submitting them for feedback, and doing some personal sketching on the side every day, even if it's like for 5 minutes a day.
What would I say to a fellow scholar or student who is not feeling a strong sense of excitement about their goal at this point? I would say that maybe that would be the time to revisit your goal and think about it and make it more meaningful for you. Or maybe to look at your goal and find a new meaning in that goal.
Maybe it's time to be a little bit more flexible and decide to change up the goals a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that. The important part here is to actually learn and up-level your skills and get better at your art. And if the time frame needs to stretch a little bit, then that's okay too.
If you just keep showing up and stay committed to following the curriculum, you have all the structure you will ever need. Eventually, you will look back and realize you've developed a wonderful set of skills that you can take and really apply to anything you want to do.
So be consistent, don't give up, and the results that you want to see will definitely follow.
A lot of the challenges you face in your art journey are really lessons learned that you can apply to anything in life. Overall, this is something that can help you grow as a person and as an artist.
I think nobody is learning to draw by thinking, I want to get through the drawing foundation module, or I want to finish this course. This is actually a means to an end. This is what you do to reach your goal. But I think it's important to remember why you are doing that, what makes you want to learn how to draw, what makes you dream, what kind of art you want to produce, and to regularly see that you are making progress by trying to do your dream pieces of work.
If you're not feeling excited about your goals at this point, my advice is to literally step back, take a break. You'll find that the things that matter most will rise to the top, and those are the things that will bring that fun and passion back into art.
Try to really find what tickles your brain and what sparks that passion. No one can really teach you what you want to draw. You kind of have to figure that out yourself. And one way of figuring out that by yourself is to draw stuff you like, even though you don't really feel like you can do it. I like drawing cars, for example. Am I good at it? No. I'm really bad at it, but I try to draw it anyways. For me, it's really important to take that first step towards being able to do something, because a first step towards doing something is better than no step at all.
I'm really hoping that by the end of the third quarter, I would be more engaged in figure drawing, and I will like the figure drawing much more than I ever thought I would.
By the next update, I hope to be past the halfway point of the painting module. I'm especially looking forward to taking sketchbooking with Steve during the third checkpoint, and also painting interiors with Ben Fensk.
By the next update, I am planning to start the painting foundation module, complete the human anatomy course taught by Ray Bustos, and complete some more personal pieces including portraits and figures.
The next quarter will be a reduced quarter for me. It's gonna be the summer holidays and my kids will be home instead of being at school, so I will have way less time to draw. I will try to work mostly during the evening and I will focus on the main track, trying to keep my speed of working 1 week per week. With the back to school season, I will try to completely reverse my priority and do a lot of personal work in September, especially to have some characters for my book fully finished and painted.
By the next update, I hope to have completed 4 more courses. That's the realistic goal. I have a little bit of a stretch goal to have completed 5 courses in this quarter or the upcoming quarter. But we'll see what the future brings. The main thing is to keep having fun with this.
By the next update, I hope that I have finished the next course, which is drawing with force. I'm really looking forward on how to learn to get fluidity and motion and life into my drawings.
By the next update, I really hope I will have completed Introduction to the Figure, Dynamic Gesture Drawing by Glenn Vilpu. Also, I hope that I will have a better idea of where I want to go with art.
I want to introduce more sketches and more studies for personal projects, in addition to doing coursework within Foundations module.
By the next update, I would like to be finished with the drapery part of the complete Russian academic course. I would also like to complete the whole Fundamentals of Observational Drawing and Perspective course, and also finish the Drawing Fundamentals 2 course.
I'm going to continue my herbal pages, and then I'm really excited because I am working on a Frazetta-inspired piece for a friend. Really looking forward to diving into Frazetta's work.
So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much for watching.
See you in the next update.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.